Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. Hi, everybody. This is a very special moment for me. This is my first TEDx experience, so if you can indulge me for a few seconds, I'm just going to take a selfie with the audience here. All right, thank you. That's great. Thanks for posting it for me. So today I'm going to talk about nano innovation. So this is the idea about ordinary people creating extraordinary ideas. So I've recently read a book called 0 to 1. It is by the co-founder of PayPal, Peter Thiel. And in his book, he argued that business moments happen only once. That the next Bill Gates is not going to design another operating system, that the next Mark Zuckerberg is not going to design another social network. So to innovate, you really have to create something from 0 to 1, something that's entirely new. Now, I think that's true if you're very intelligent. But as we all know, the distribution of IQ score follow a very typical normal bell curve, right? So most of us here are actually in the middle. All right, actually, given that you're spending time on a Saturday afternoon listening to TEDx presentations, I'll say we fall into this section, a little bit more intelligent to the normal people, right? But still, I mean, we're not Bill Gates, who has an IQ score of 160, and we're not Mark Zuckerberg, who actually falls in the top 1 percentile. So does that mean we cannot innovate? I'd like to offer a different perspective. I think we can still innovate by making changes in a small way. Hence, the term nano innovation. By actually innovating in a small way, by looking at what's already existing out there, but doing little things to improve that's already out there, we can actually create a big impact through constant iteration, listening to feedback from the markets, listening from the customers, and we can still create a big impact. Now, what if I tell you that you and I are all capable in developing a product that is being selected by Time as one of the best innovations of last year, that it can sold over millions in different parts of the world? I'll come to back a little bit later. But now, I'm going to share a little bit more inspiration on how you can actually nano innovate. And I actually grouped into many different ideas into 3 main buckets. So the first one, I call it Marco Polo it, meaning bring successful models to different countries. So how many here are actually not from Hong Kong? Okay. Seems like I'm the minority. I'm the only one from Hong Kong here. So this is actually most relevant to you guys here, all right? So as you know, Marco Polo is a merchant who traveled between Europe and China and bring merchandise between the continents. And I think this model still works very well in the modern day era. I'll give you some example. So in search engine, everybody uses Google in the West, right? And then in China, there's a guy called Robin Li who decided to actually do something similar, but offer it in Chinese for the Chinese audience. And he founded Baidu. And Baidu now is a company that is worth $75 billion and listed on NASDAQ. Okay, what about social networks? I talked a little bit earlier about Mark Zuckerberg, coming up with Facebook. And in China, there's a site called RanRan, originally called Chow. Essentially, it's the same concept, but again, for the Chinese audience. And when the company was listed in 2011 in NASDAQ, it has over 160 million registered users. And over in Europe, one of the biggest social networks called VKontakte, and they have now over 280 million registered users. So similar concept, but bringing it overseas. A few more examples here. Messaging, back to the desktop days, there's MSN Messenger. And then there's a little small company over in Shenzhen who decided to do something similar for the Chinese audience, and they launched a QQ Messenger. And now this company is now one of the world's largest company in the world, the top 5 internet companies, worth $150 billion on the market capitalization. Yes, that's how Tencent was founded. On the mobile messaging side, I guess everybody uses WhatsApp here, right? Again, a service founded in the US. And then in Japan, there's Line, which is also getting very popular in Taiwan, Thailand, and also in Hong Kong. And now they have over 560 million registered users. And again, this company over in Shenzhen, Tencent, they launched WeChat. Again, similar product, and now they have over 1.1 billion users in just 3 years. Now, so you thought that maybe all these cases are actually coming from ideas from the West and bring it to the East. what about the other way around? I mean, have we seen any successful cases where something works in the East being brought to the West very successfully? Now, for those who are familiar with social gaming, there's a company called Zynga, and they developed, I would say, the most popular Facebook games ever, called Farmville. But this game was actually inspired by a game in China called Happy Farm, created by a company in Shanghai called 5 Minutes. So I think that actually works well, the Marco Polo model. But you would say, hey, that's just copycat, right? That's just cloning. But I would say that the most successful ones are actually based on an existing idea, but they actually nano innovate to create a better user experience. So let me just give you some examples here too. I talked a little bit earlier about WhatsApp and WeChat, but when WeChat was launched, actually, they offer a lot more features, including voice messaging, which WhatsApp later launched also. But they also allow the users to subscribe to content to read on the WeChat platform. They also have a Moments feature where it's similar to a Twitter, similar to Facebook, where you can post a photo and share your status. And also, they offer games. Another example, also comparing to the West and the East, is between Twitter and Weibo. So Weibo is being kind of like termed as the Twitter in China. But again, they actually offer more features, including users can actually include photos, audios, emoticons, and also comments. That makes the experience a lot more comprehensive. So I'll say, you can actually nano-innovate to create a better user experience on existing products that has already been popular somewhere else. Now, the second bucket, I refer them as same, but different. Meaning, basically, it's the same service or product, but it's being offered to a different audience or being offered on a different platform. Some examples here. So I talked about Facebook earlier. So basically, Facebook is a social network for your friends, for personal relationships. Now, this company called LinkedIn, they actually launched something similar, but in a very different context. So they're trying to address the business people. So the networks that you establish on LinkedIn are more professional, your business associates, your colleagues. All right? And this company, again, is listed on its own, and is now worth $28 billion. Again, similar to Facebook, there's a company called Yammer, which again is more on a professional context. So Yammer allows companies to set up a social network for their own colleagues. So they can actually share their status, share their comments, share articles, share their Word documents, PowerPoints within the company. All right? And this company, Yammer, has been bought by Microsoft a few years ago for $1.2 billion. Okay, what about similar service but being offered from different platforms? So I mean, we've been using telephone for a long, long time, all right? And when internet was being popular, a company called Skype came up with a new idea of doing voice calls over the internet protocol. And then later on, when smartphones were being introduced, this company in Israel called Viber, they introduced an app that essentially, again, allows you to do voice call, but using your smartphone. Now, the last bucket, which I refer them as you want, I want, is the most basic, where you look at your customers and see where their needs are and what they want, and where are the unsatisfied demands. So one of the things that we do now is that you don't have to conduct expensive market research. You can look at Google Trends. So if you look at Google Trends, they tell you what are the most popular search terms that people are looking for. And you can also search for particular terms. So here, for example, I put Snapchat here, and it tells you, how popular this search term is based on different regions, based on different time frames, and you can also categorize into different categories. What's good about Google Trends is also it tells you about what happens during those spikes. So if you mouse over one of those spikes, it tells you what happened there to give you a little more insight on why people are interested in that particular term. Now, other than Google Trends, I think one of the best ways to find out what customers really want is to go to App Store and also to go to Google Play. So now you download a particular app, and user can actually give rating. And here is an example where there's a lot of good ratings, 5-star ratings for this particular app, which is a photo app. But there's also a few 1-star rating. So you look at the 1-star rating and see why are people giving 1-star rating. So here's an example. Maybe it's hard for you to see, but she says that she kind of liked the app, but then she doesn't understand Chinese. This is a Chinese photo app. And she's asking, English, please. So here it can actually give you some idea and inspiration on what are the unsatisfied demands out there. So if you're not sure about what the users or customers may want, why don't you ask about what you need or what you want? Now, 8 years ago, I had a chance to meet up with one of the co-founders of this product called Slingbox. So essentially what this device does is it allows play shifting of watching TV, meaning you can watch TV without staying at home. Now, the reason they want to develop this device is that there are actually big baseball fans. But then because of business, they have to do a lot of business travel, and they cannot actually watch baseball on a live situation. So they developed this device so that you can actually stream the TV content through device, through the internet, and then they can actually watch the live baseball game on the computer and also on the mobile phones. So coming up with a device that actually satisfies their own needs. Now, if you're not too sure about whether your idea will work or not, I mean, there's this great site called Kickstarter. So basically, it is a crowdfunding site that allows you to come up with a project, put it up there, and then users who go to the site will look for projects that they may be interested, and that they will even make a pledge, giving you the money to support your development. Now, I think this is really powerful because never before can you actually get confirmed orders with customers paying you before the product is even produced. So if you have some ideas, I think no idea is too crazy. Put it on Kickstarter and see if that actually gives you some kind of like momentum and following from the people that is going to patch you. Now, I'll talk a lot about new technology and new companies and doing a startup using Nano Innovation concept. But can established companies also innovate? Now, this is a company that's already 130 years old. Everybody knows this company, Coca-Cola, right? And they have like a very stable market share. And why do they have to innovate, right? And I think it's really to satisfy the users and customers' needs. So recently, they launched a campaign called Share a Coke campaign, which I'm sure a lot of you have been familiarized with this, because it was also launched in Hong Kong not too long ago. So the whole idea of this campaign is really they replace the Coca-Cola logo and using the most popular names in a particular country and put it on the products. So in UK alone, they picked the most common 1,000 names and terms and put it on the product, and over 150 million products have been sold. And more impressive is that close to 998 million impressions were being shown on Twitter. So imagine the value of this PR of the campaign that actually can spread Coke around. Now, this campaign was so successful that it's been replicated in over 70 countries. And it was actually originated in Australia in 2011 by just 2 persons. And what I found is most amazing is that this whole idea was being written on a brief that was only 151 words long. So simple, small idea, creating a big change. I hope by now that you're convinced that it's actually not hard to innovate, especially when you think about innovating in a small way. But that could actually create a big impact. Companies that's worth billions of dollars are created using that similar concept. However, execution is never easy. And I think as you plan for your idea, as you execute it, you run into roadblocks. There will be failures. But I think failures is good, so don't get demotivated. And if I can quote Michael Jordan, he said, "I've failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." So the key is really, when you fail, you don't give up. You have to fail fast, learn fast, and improve fast until you get perfect. Now, if you do things right the first time, I call it luck. But if you do things right after trying and improving what you've done, that's persistence. And I think no angel investor will invest in a business that is based on luck as a strategy. However, they will invest in entrepreneurs who has the persistence to get things right. So this company, Rovio, they developed a game called Angry Birds. But before they got this game, they actually were very close to bankruptcy. And in fact, they developed over 51 games before they actually get Angry Birds out, which obviously became a global phenomenon. Oh, and then remember that I talked about a product that you and I can capable of developing that can be sold in millions. And by the way, it's mobile related. And it doesn't matter whether you're an iPhone user or an Android user. It's so simple to use that you don't really need instructions. And here it is, a selfie stick. So right now, I'm just going to take another selfie to remember this particular moment, because unless you're like Chris, who got over 4.4 million users in his first TED Talk, I may not get invited again. So I'm going to take another selfie with everyone, but this time using a selfie stick, all right? So if you could just bear with me, get ready to post. And here we go, with 10 seconds, and all right, there you go. Smile. All right, so to wrap up my talk, I'm not going to wish you good luck in innovating. Instead, I wish that you will enjoy the process and have fun, and have the persistency to come up with your next little idea that can create a big impact. Thank you.